Hi, Charles Goforth. Talk about front yard fences. So, front yard fences, I don't have any in my neighborhood. By the way, deed restrictions, they don't allow them, so this doesn't pertain to me. Well, starting September 1st, a new Texas law goes into effect that prohibits deed restrictions from enforcing or creating covenants that restrict the placement of perimeter fences. So this means that somebody can build a perimeter fence around their entire property, and in many places that property line extends to the sidewalk or near the sidewalk and just mere feet from the street. And this also is along the side property line where your neighbors are. So I understand the reasoning to try to increase security as much as possible at the individual homes, but I'm not quite sure that the negative impacts were given their due. And I talk about negative impacts, well, to me personally, I'm looking at loss of property value, loss of aesthetics, and also possibility of impeding floodwaters. High water events in Texas, I guess we do have a few of those. So I'm worried about the water coming up from the streets as it flows towards the bayous, towards the ditches, and then coming up into the yards. Well, the yards are the last line of defense before it gets into the houses. So the front yards now possibly have a lot of fencing. And as that water is trying to do its march towards the bayou, towards the ditches, out of the neighborhoods, it's going to be running into another obstacle. And that's one thing that, as a flood victim, that concerns me gravely. But on top of that, it's going back to the loss of property value. The aesthetics of these neighborhoods or something that we've enjoyed for many people, or many of the subdivisions, 50, 60, 100 years that these deed restrictions have been in place that have prohibited front yard fencing. And now all that's out the window. So the aesthetics that many of the developers had put in place, they wanted to have that warm, inviting, welcoming feeling to the communities, could greatly be damaged. So I think the risk of not taking a pause on this and pushing it through without little comment from the community, from the state as a whole, is paramount to derelict of duty. I'm very concerned that these things kind of get passed through midnight hour. I know a lot of legislative sessions go late, and they may not be completely aware of what every little line and every little content marker means, or how it affects. Yes, you hear security, fantastic, but what are the other effects on this too? This is hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of properties throughout hundreds of subdivisions, thousands of subdivisions throughout the state of Texas. We've got a couple things set up right now just to kind of bring attention to it and hear comments and get the discussion going in this. And one of them is a Facebook page, No Fence Texas. That's Facebook. And then we got an email address just set up, and that's nofencetexas@gmail.com. Definitely want to get the discussion started on this. I know the law's set to go into effect September 1st. Maybe there's some possibility of getting an injunction, a temporary injunction in place to hit a pause button on this, and get some comment from the community. Make sure all the legislators are aware of what was in this bill that they passed, and bring to their attention some of the negative impacts that could be brought about from this. Once again, that's Facebook at No Fence Texas, and then we have email account, and that's nofencetexas@gmail.com. Want to hear what everybody's got to say about it. Want to push information back and forth, and like I said, see what we can do. If we don't bring attention to it, we know nothing will happen, and then we'll start having fences come up. And I hate to see what could happen to many of the communities that have enjoyed a stable, open feeling for their entire existence. Like I said, some of them have been 100 years, and this is out the window with their deed restrictions that really have kept the harmony of the community together. Thank you.